A real problem. I don't have a live audience for this, but I'm just going to ask and hope someone on the other side raises their hand. How many of us have seen cars that look like this? Caked, coated, lightly dusted in dirt and grime. Here's my truck. Never really seen dirt or mud. She's a pavement princess, but she comes home dusted, dirty, due to one massive plague on the east side of Dallas County. Dust, concrete, sand, you name it. Fine powders and particulates that fill the air and make these particularly tasteful clouds. Clouds that people breathe in, get swallowed up by, and drive through every single day. And these clouds are made up of a variety of sharp particles that look a little bit like this. Knives, needles, sharp jagged points, just microns in length. And that dust is dangerous. Not a surprise, I know. Turns out lungs were meant for air, not rocks. What's worse about these kind of rocks in particular is the awkward inability your body has to get rid of them, but we'll be back to that. Here's a cute chart on respiratory hazards in construction. Those people making those clouds out on the highways, they're breathing in all of this. Every single bit except for typically asbestos. And that is the reason why, of a study of 110,000 construction workers, 86% of those who work in the industry for 5 years will die of lung cancer. But I'm not a construction worker, you say, and good for you is what I would say, except everyone who drives through this, everyone who lives around this is vulnerable. And a thing we don't talk about enough is non-occupational exposure, bystander breathing. A famous sharp particle here is silica. The distribution of the composition of concrete is majority quartz. And quartz in U.S. areas is typically about 3.2 micrograms per cubic meter. And here's what the EPA has to say about that quartz or silica in the air. For healthy individuals not compromised by other respiratory ailments and for ambient environments expected to contain less than 10% crystalline silica in particulates that are 10 microns of length, the maintenance of 50 micrograms per cubic meter annual should be adequate to protect against the silicotic effects from ambient crystalline silica exposure. Except, I'm here to say that so many spaces in our cities are way above the expected amount of silica. When we look at the composition of concrete, it's made of cement, it's made of coarse aggregates, it's made of quartz powder, quartz sand. Those coarse aggregates, also quartz. That cement, 20% silica. All these quartz products make silica whenever they're broken down into the air. Concrete dust-filled air can be anywhere from 40 to 70% silica for 10 micron particulates, and potentially higher for smaller particulates. Whenever we're jackhammering this concrete, breaking it down into bits, these chunks can come out to just be 2.5 microns in diameter. And what that means for you is these pieces are small enough that they end up going straight to your blood. Little sharp needles that get filtered into your lungs and stay there because the cilia can't carry it out like the bigger bits. The concentrations of this kind of silica, and of the bigger kind too, can be upwards of 50 micrograms per cubic meter, well above the EPA limit. And for those passenger vehicles that are passing through these clouds, it can be up to 100 in those cabs, double the EPA limit. And that is at a 70% concentration, not 10%, 70% concentration, and not just for 10 micron silica, but for the small stuff too that is even worse. If you look at a map of Mesquite and the distance these neighborhoods are from construction, a study in India had found that it takes 5 kilometers of distance for silica levels to reach normal metropolitan levels, which is that 3.2 that we discussed earlier. Each dot here is 500 meters apart. All of these areas within this 1.5, 2 kilometer range are vulnerable. And it's all along these highways. Highway 80, Highway 635 have been under construction for decades. So the solution? For our construction workers, it should be obvious. PPE, or personal protective equipment. Except right now, only 60% actually use PPE. And you have to ask the question, how many people actually are using appropriate PPE? PPE is anywhere from a gas mask to pants to these ugly little gaiters right here. This is considered protection. And you should ask yourself, how many times have you seen workers in the blistering hot sun dancing around in these smoke clouds with either nothing or something like this on, instead of something that's actually going to protect them? And the leading reason for the inappropriate use of PPE or the inappropriate PPE used in these situations is actually comfort. Gas masks leave lines on your face. They chafe, you feel a sweat. Under that hot sun, you're going to be huffing and puffing because it is hard to breathe when it is 110 degrees. So you can provide the gear, you can lead the horse to water, but those workers are going to keep puffing that raw air because it feels far more comfortable than actually wearing the gear. Especially since for silica, you're really only going to see the damage in the long term. So the real solution for everyone? Gas masks aren't going to save mesquite homeowners. Spraying. It is such a simple thing. So whether it's those giant water trucks spraying gallons upon gallons over wide areas, or just these little deployable tanks that could be brought on the back of a work truck, spraying reduces dust in the air by up to 80%. And so, closing out here, contact your legislators. Let them know that if they write it into law to require and mandate spraying, that you could be saving lives. Inform, spread the data. Ignorance is a driver for risk. You could save lives. Thank you.